continue with the operation. You may fire when ready.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 9 of Fire When Ready. I'm your host, Alex Corey, and on this podcast, I like to talk about my thoughts on all things geeky, being the world of movies, TV, comics, because Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Yes, folks, it is a stacked month. We got a lot coming out. We had Shazam, Pet Sematary, Hellboy, Game of Thrones, Avengers Endgame, all that wonderful, geeky, amazing stuff's coming out. But the one thing that's going to be the main topic of this episode is Star Wars Celebration. It's happening this weekend, and I am just so excited. I will not be attending this celebration. I know a lot of people are, and that's amazing, and I will be there in spirit. Because, you know, what's awesome about Celebration is that it's just a time where you can celebrate and send positive thoughts towards the Star Wars franchise. It's none of that negativity. Everybody's there for a reason to just celebrate the franchise that is Star Wars. Who wouldn't want to be in that environment, you know, because there's just so much negativity and so much toxicity online, but to be there with fans who are just as much of a fan of it as you might be who's attending is awesome. And I'm so glad, you know, there's that sort of positivity in this day and age, and along the way, we can hear about all these crazy cool updates from the movie side, from TV, from video game, comic book, novelization side. It's awesome, you know. I can't wait to hear all this news. But yeah, we'll not be attending, but it'll be cool to see all the updates and whatnot. But yeah, so I wanted to dedicate this episode to a preview of Celebration because I love Star Wars. It's probably my favorite franchise of all time. It's been a part of my life for so long, and I mean the reason why this podcast is named Fire When Ready is because of Grand Moff Tarkin's quote, "You may fire when ready," that you heard in the intro earlier on. But yeah, I have to talk Star Wars. I mean, you'll probably hear some Star Wars discussions here on this podcast. I'd be stupid not to. But yeah, and not strictly a Star Wars show, just a genre comic book type show, and yeah, I'm glad I'm able to bring all of that to you guys, all that excitement. But here we go. So this is a Star Wars Celebration preview episode. I'll just be breaking down the main panels, what I'm excited for, and I won't talk about every single panel. If you want a breakdown of like the entire Star Wars Celebration schedule, I'll put a link in the description below if you're listening on YouTube from StarWars.com about all the schedules and where all the panels will be located and all that sort of thing. So yeah, enjoy, go look at that. But I'll talk about the main stuff, just the main events, really what everybody's going to be talking about in this celebration. Okay, so to start things off is on Friday, April 12th. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to go by the Central Daylight Time. I believe that's the Chicago Standard Time. So I'm going to be going by that. So wherever you live, East Coast, West Coast, you might have to translate the Chicago time zone from wherever you live, or the time zone where the time zone that Chicago goes by, because Star Wars Celebration is taking place in Chicago this year. But yes, alright, so to start things off, on Friday, April 12th, from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. is the panel for basically most likely one of the main event of the entire convention, even though there's going to be a few big ones that I'm going to get into, but basically the main event, Friday, April 12th, Star Wars Episode 9. It's the end of the Skywalker saga as we know it, and hopefully it'll end like so. I don't know if I want to see a 10, 11, 12 just yet. I don't know, maybe years and years later they'll do it, but what seems to be happening is it's going to be the true blue ending of the Star Wars saga. I mean, people thought it was going to end back in 83 when Return of the Jedi came out, and in my generation I thought everything was ending when Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, but here we are now. We're actually going to see Star Wars Episode 9, the end of a new trilogy, the end of the entire saga, mind you. But yeah, I hope we don't see really a 10, 11, 12 so soon, because, you know, we're going to get into other amazing spin-offs that I'm just so excited for. But Episode 9, is the end of the Skywalker saga, and I'm so excited to see it because I've been a fan of the sequel trilogy, very much so. I'm actually one of the defenders of The Last Jedi. I know it rubs some people the wrong way, and that's cool, but, well, it's not cool if you've been kind of one of those toxic fans, but who cares? Yeah, I've been championing this entire trilogy, and I love what goes into them and how it's like not how it like feels like it just captures what we love so much in the original trilogy. That's why I love them. You know, and they feel brand new in a way because, you know, we see we have all these brand new characters and new scenarios we're not used to seeing in Star Wars movies, and just the idea that they're able to just capture the essence of what we love about the originals and just do it in a new creative fashion with characters we've just instantly fell in love with is so incredible to see in this day and age. But yeah, so excited for episode 9, and just, I mean, it's gonna be cool to see J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy come on stage and with the entire cast, because in the description here on StarWars.com it says, you can count on plenty of surprises and special guests to keep your imagination buzzing for the rest of the celebration. I'm assuming the entire cast is gonna come out. I mean, it'd be stupid not to. But yeah, I mean, it'll be great to see them talking about the movie. Great to listen to them talk about the movie, I should say. And what will also be cool is to see the stills from the actual film, like brand new stills. Like, oh, whoa, that's new. I haven't seen that. Oh, that's a new costume. Oh, that's a new set piece. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, to see stills from the new movie and then maybe some behind the scenes stuff is always interesting. But I mean, what's everybody going to be talking about? Like once, you know, after the panel ends, they're gonna show us a trailer. We've been waiting for a trailer for so long. I mean, they premiered. I mean, I remember back watching the Celebration live stream back in 2015 when they introduced The Force Awakens and seeing the trailer for that, the Chewie, we're home trailer. How can you go wrong? I mean, that just put a big smile on my face because Star Wars is freaking back. And then a year later, in Celebration Europe, they did a Rogue One panel. Didn't show a trailer for that. We already seen a trailer at that point. And that wasn't actually in April, like a celebration for the Force, like a celebration 2015 for the Force Awakens. It was actually like in the summer, I believe. So we got in a trailer at that point for Rogue One in April of 2016, and then we got a panel, and then we saw it was basically, and then they showed a sizzle reel, I believe, and then years later, or a year later in 2017, there was a Last Jedi panel, and then we got to see the first glimpse of that film from the Celebration live stream. So it'll be the same deal for episode 9. I mean, they're going to drop a trailer and we'll finally get to see what the title is, because like an Avengers Endgame situation, we don't know what the title of episode 9 is going to be until Friday, April 12th. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I love this series. It's very near and dear to my heart. I love what they're doing now with the story, how they're just developing all these characters. I mean, that's why I love Star Wars, because of the not just because of the world and how it can expand, but what's just so great and intimate about Star Wars is just the characters they introduce and the journeys they go on, the emotional journeys. That's one of the main reasons I've just loved this franchise so much. You know, seeing the journey of Luke and now seeing the journey of Rey and Kylo Ren. I mean, how can you go wrong? Star Wars, man. Star Wars. That's all I gotta say about that. Episode 9. Cannot wait. Okay, and that's it for the Friday panel. As far as main panels go, again, if you want to see a full breakdown, go to StarWars.com in the link below. So Saturday, April 13th, one of the big main attractions that day from 11 to 12 is bringing Star Wars Galaxies Edge to life at Disney parks. They've been teasing the crap out of this expansion to Disneyland and Disney World, a full-fledged out Star Wars park, much like what they're doing with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios. Yeah, I mean, how would you not want to be? Why would you not want to be immersed in the Star Wars world in such in a unique and creative fashion? I mean, they're literally gonna make. I mean, what I can appreciate now as an adult, going to Disneyland, even though I haven't been since I was a kid. But I think if I went now, I think what I would appreciate is just the detail that goes into it, all just the intricate designs, and just the structures they create at the parks are just, it's just magnificent work. And to just be in a Star Wars environment with like replica locations and people like dressed up and maybe and like and as different droids and aliens and different, all the different characters, and maybe some wacky animatronics along the way, just to be surrounded by that and to feel like I'm actually in the Star Wars universe is like, guys, I'm not gonna want to leave, you know. I don't want to like oh man, it's like, who wouldn't want to? It's like being in like a new world, basically, a new galaxy, mind you. And yeah, like, why wouldn't you want to go? It's gonna be a lot of fun. All like just the Walt Disney Imagineering team, what they're gonna do there. It's just gonna be beyond words, and I can't wait to go someday. Hopefully someday. So Galaxy's Edge, that's gonna be incredible just to be in that environment. It's just another way to immerse oneself into the film universe, and how can you not be excited for that? So yeah, and not to mention Galaxy's Edge is going to spawn off all these great books, you know, novelizations and art books and comic books. I can't wait. I'm definitely going to pick up that comic book once it comes out, I believe this month, and yeah. Can't wait, man. So yes, so next on Saturday, or a couple other things on Saturday, is from 12:45 to 1:45 is a Star Wars Rebels Remembered panel. And listen, if you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels yet and you are a fan of the film series, do yourself a favor and check this out. Like, what I was talking about earlier with like Star Wars having great character, how the Star Wars movies have great character development and great emotional journeys. Rebels is definitely an example of that. And what Dave Filoni did with his crew is like they brought all of that, you know, brought all those elements together from the Star Wars movies and like did it in such a, I'd say, a very beautiful way. Like, once you get to like the final season, I believe is season 4 or even season 3, like highlights some of like great character stuff. Like, once you get to like the latter seasons, you'll realize that is why I'm watching this freaking show, you know. So yeah, it was a really good show. They really did a lot of great things in it, story-wise, character-wise. They did a lot with their characters, but they also did a lot in regards to like kind of world building and expanding Star Wars in and of itself. And that was just definitely one of the things that I greatly appreciated about that show. And yeah, it was really one of the best Star Wars stories in recent years. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I believe I don't know where the season 1 through 4 are streaming, but this Disney streaming service is going to come out at the end of the year, I believe. And yeah, who knows? I think they'll probably put the entire series on there. So yeah, if not, you know, you could always buy the Blu-rays. I believe season 1 through 4 are available on Blu-ray or digital download or whatever you have. So yeah, check it out. All right, and then another panel that's happening from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. is the galaxy-wide premiere of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, so this is the new game that's going to be coming out about following a Jedi during Order 66. So it'll probably be like, I think episode 3 will that time period will be lay the groundwork and the foundation of that game and that story. So it'll probably be between 3 and 4. But I think mostly episode 3 because it says here on the StarWars.com that how Respawn and Lucasfilm collaborated on this original Star Wars story, following a young Padawan's journey in the dark times following Order 66. Yeah, so it'll be cool to hear what they're going to do with the game story-wise, and you know, I'm sure it's going to look beautiful. I mean, the work that goes into the Battlefront games, the recent ones, all the footage I've seen really is truly breathtaking. I know there's that whole thing with EA, but yeah, it's about time we get like new Star Wars stories in video game 4, because that's kind of where Disney and Lucasfilm are a little bit lacking nowadays. I mean, if you go through the entire Star Wars video game library, there's just so much to play with and so much story to get into. And I'll admit I haven't played all the games. I'm not really the biggest gamer. I'm very, very, very casual, but when I can get my hands on a Star Wars game, you know, it's heaven. I mean, again, another reason to get immersed in the world, aside from the movies and theme parks, as I just mentioned. But yeah, Jedi Fallen Order sounds like another cool story to get into, another cool point of view type deal, and yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so another one. This isn't really a main panel. It's just something I'm kind of excited about. So from 2:30 to 3:30 is Marvel Comics presents Star Wars. All right, I'll just read the description very, very quickly. Join Marvel Comics writers Greg Pak, Star Wars Age of Rebellion, and Ethan Sachs, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and a host of my other mighty Marvel guests in this can't-miss panel. Greg Pak's Age of Rebellion series spotlights the fan favorites of the classic trilogy, while Sachs' Galaxy Edge is the riveting comic series tie-in to the highly anticipated theme park, which I just mentioned previously. Don't miss your chance to get behind-the-scenes look at a House of Ideas parsec of the galaxy far, far away, including a glimpse of what's to come. I mean, yeah, I've been a recent comic reader, and if you look through my comic collection right now, most of the comics that I own are Star Wars comics. Again, more reason to get more into the story, more to see more of that galaxy expand and more character development. Always a plus. And yeah, I haven't. I know Age of Rebellion and Galaxy's Edge are coming out this month. I believe by the time that I post this episode, it should be out. The first couple of Age of Rebellion issues should be out by Wednesday. I believe it's Princess Leia and Grand Moff Tarkin, because they're all one shots. It's not really a continuing series or mini series, if you will. It's basically just like standalone stories each issue. And yeah, so Age of Rebellion. I have read the Age of Republic. I have read some issues of the Age of Republic books, and yeah, it's great. It's great to just kind of wrap up more in that lore, and I like that they're gonna focus on different time periods. They're gonna do Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, Age of Resistance later on. But yeah, I mean, I love the characters, and to kind of see them in like different scenarios we're not used to, and maybe just to see them more in the action is always fun. Galaxy's Edge, don't really know what the story is going to be there, but I kind of like that they're basing that landmark in Disney. I believe that's like going to be its own sort of planet, I guess. And I like that the park's laying the groundwork for the books that they're writing, and that's fun. Just more of the universe to explore. Can't wait. All right, so that's it for Saturday for main attractions. So for Sunday main attractions, Sunday, April 14th, from 11 to 12, we have The Mandalorian. And yes, this is the new live-action television series that's going to be produced by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni as well. And yeah, can't wait for that. Yeah, I remember like back in like after Revenge of the Sith came out, there were plans to do a sort of live-action series for Star Wars. I believe it was called Star Wars Underworld, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that got shelved. They didn't really do much with it. I believe some of the storylines though were used in like the God of War video games. I think that's what I believe happened. But yeah, so The Mandalorian, that's coming out. That's going to be between episodes 6 and 7. Again, more Star Wars is never a bad thing. And I think Jon Favreau's a massively talented director and in the film industry now, and writer for that matter. And to see, I loved the first Iron Man. I loved the Jungle Book, and I'm very, very excited to see his take on The Lion King. Yeah, he's doing some great things in the industry right now. He's a great talent for Disney, and yeah, I'm sure he's gonna give us more great stories in the Star Wars world. And Filoni, for that matter, is also a king of storytelling. So how can you not be excited for that? I don't know what else to say there. Who cares? So next up, from 3:30 to 4:30, this is gonna people are gonna lose their minds over this. I just know it. Star Wars: The Clone Wars sneak peek. We're finally getting season 7, guys. We're finally getting it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. The Star Wars Clone Wars series never really had a definitive ending, and like leading into Episode 3. If you remember the Jenny Tartakovsky 2D micro series back in, when they aired in Cartoon Network in like 03 or 04 before Revenge of the Sith came out. There was like a nice smooth transition into episode 3. I'm not necessarily sure if we're going to see that in this new season, but hey, Clone Wars is a fantastic show. It's really what the prequels should have been in terms of storytelling, in terms of character development. I'm not going to be crapping on the prequels really, but what I'm basically just trying to say is, like, I love the lore that was set up. I love the characters that were set up. I just think maybe some of the execution could have been a little bit better in the prequels, and I mean I think that's a fair argument to make. But I love that the Clone Wars is like reminding me, like, oh, you know what, this time period is actually really, really cool, and like some of the conflict there, they're able to expand upon that. And they're able to showcase those characters, you know, Anakin and Obi-Wan, and actually like give them great character depth and character arcs. And like Anakin, one of the issues I had in the prequels is, you know, Anakin wasn't really that menacing Darth Vader figure that we later on see him as in the original trilogy, but we actually get to see him, you know, as that like force you shouldn't reckon. He's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, so Clone Wars Season 7, that should be fun. Don't know, I like that we don't know much about anything just yet, and I'm sure there's going to be like a new trailer and stuff like that. So yeah, there's probably going to be new big action scenes and new worlds and all that fun stuff in Star Wars. I mean, overall, it's just great that the series is back and that Dave Filoni is able to tell the stories that he wanted to tell, even though the series got canceled and then brought back to Netflix, but then, you know, got canceled again for some reason. Yeah, it's just great to see that the show had a fan base and that it's actually coming back and that people actually appreciate. It's not just like original trilogy purists, like people actually like this time, the Age of the Republic, and people actually care about these characters and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be cool to see the series continue in a bright and beautiful way on Disney Plus. I'll have to end up caving and getting that for Clone Wars and Mandalorian, but yeah, should be great. So yes, that's it for Sunday, and now the last two panels I'll be talking about. On Monday, April 15th, the first main attraction is from 11 to 12 is Star Wars The Phantom Menace 20th Anniversary Celebration. And it says right here that Warwick Davis will be hosting. Warwick Davis, by the way, I believe he's having another panel, like a short stories with the Warwick Davis panel. I was actually looking through the schedule before I recorded. And yeah, just, he's such a swell guy. I mean, how can what's not to like? He's just such a fun and funny personality. And yeah, it's hard not to like him. But the fact that he's like hosting that panel, I mean, just that would be worth the price of admission, right? So yes, he'll be hosting, and they're gonna show some behind the scenes content, special guests, which I'm sure they're gonna bring back the original cast from the film, and, you know, as many people as they can. You know, it'd be cool to see Liam Neeson. It'd be cool to see Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman maybe, but who knows? I'm not really sure. Ahmed Best. But you know, I was just talking about, you know, how there's issues I had with the prequels, but for the most part, I enjoy them to a degree. I mean, I do have a soft spot for them. If I hadn't seen advertising for the Phantom Menace back when, you know, I was real little, probably like 3 or 4 or something. I think 3, or 4. I can't remember, but yeah, it was either one of those two ages. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of my first exposure to Star Wars, because my parents never really raised me on it. I never actually saw them. I never saw the original trilogy until I was like a little older, like 9. I didn't see A New Hope until I was 9, but yeah, I actually remember seeing advertisements and like going to a video store and seeing cardboard cutouts of Jar Jar and Queen Amidala and being like, what's this weird thing, you know? And Darth Maul as well. Darth Maul was such an iconic looking character. But yeah, you know, you can't forget, like, some of the, like, my exposure to Star Wars was the prequel movies, and And that was probably maybe a lot of people around my age, or I don't know, maybe someone like maybe when I was little, maybe like teenagers or young adults at that time, maybe their first exposure to Star Wars was the re-releases in '97, and then when the prequels came out, So yeah, so you can't forget prequels introduced Star Wars to a new generation, and you can't totally poo-poo it. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today if it weren't for the prequel movies, and I enjoy them to a degree. That they have some fun moments, and I like what I was saying about the Clone Wars. I actually do really like that the lore that was set up there, and I really do enjoy that time era. But yeah, I mean, Phantom Menace isn't a perfect movie, but a movie is, But yeah, I kind of like that there's this appreciation for it nowadays because, it's a generational thing. It's what got people into Star Wars. That people had probably some amazing memories going to see it opening weekend. I mean, it was so fun to go back and see like footage of people waiting in line and being so jazzed to see the movie and being like, Star Wars is back. And then like, I mean, what I was like, I mean, the thing about like me being excited about seeing new footage for Episode 9, or maybe Fallen Order or Clone Wars or Mandalorian or any of that stuff, like what's so great about, seeing new footage for those movies is like, it kind of harkens back to when people didn't have Star Wars for a long time, and then Phantom Menace gets announced, the special editions for Star Wars, and then the prequel trilogy gets announced, and then seeing that glorious first trailer for the Phantom Menace, and just being like completely just having your mind blown, because, just seeing all those brand new shots and being like, oh my gosh, it's brand new and it's Star Wars and I love it. But yeah, you can't forget like that Phantom Menace kind of laid the groundwork for this fan base in a way. For where we are today. I mean, yeah, it was probably exciting to see new Star Wars stuff back when the original trilogy came out, like the trailers that came out there, and Return of the Jedi, Empire and Return of the Jedi, excuse me. But like seeing footage for that, I'm sure fans lost their mind. But the idea that like there was no Star Wars for so long, and then in '99 or '98 when the trailer came out, like people were just losing their minds. That's kind of how it feels now, because, and it's just, I feel privileged because we're getting new Star Wars stuff. So much. And it's not really so much oversaturation. I don't really think they're overdoing it at this point. Maybe if it was like Marvel, where they had like multiple films come out every year, it'd be like, okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit. But hey, I appreciate the Phantom Menace for for how it kind of brought the fan base together. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still like divisiveness and a lot of hate for the prequels, but I kind of like that there's appreciation nowadays. So good on you for being appreciative of the Star Wars fan base and just enjoying it for what it is. And yeah, cool. I like that there's a celebration for Phantom Menace 20th. All right, and last but certainly not least, from 1:30 to 2:50 p.m. will be the Star Wars Resistance Season 2 sneak peek. I was actually kind of thinking about doing a Season 1 review, but time did not allow, and so I'll just basically give my brief thoughts on Season 1. I really, really enjoyed it. It wasn't like the Star Wars, it's not really the, if you want like dark and serious Star Wars, I mean, that's probably what the Mandalorian's going to be, but the kind of Star Wars that Resistance is going for it's definitely towards younger audiences, but in the end, I was still able to enjoy it, as an adult, because it was basically take the lighthearted humor in the Star Wars movies, those more lighthearted moments. Maybe it's silly banter with Han and Chewie, or maybe it's the Ewoks doing something crazy on Endor. Just take those lighter moments, like in all the films, basically, and that's the show. And that's kind of how I see it as, just the lighter-hearted aspects of the Star Wars franchise, just that can appeal to all audiences. It's not really dark or gritty. I mean, Rebels and Clone Wars got into some really dark places, and I was really actually surprised they were able to pull that off for a children's show. But Resistance is purely a children's show, but anybody can enjoy it. I mean, if you love the Star Wars universe and you don't mind it being as lighthearted as it is, as you saw in the previous movies, then you'll have a good time with it. But Season 2's coming out, And like a Rebels situation, it's always cool to see tie-ins to the main saga. But what I actually like this time around, as opposed to Rebels, is that like with Rebels, you could tell that they were like going towards Episode 4 territory. It wasn't really like, it was basically just kind of a setup towards Episode 4. It was between 3 and 4, and then I don't know. Now I don't want to talk about that. There's like a scene that happens in the series finale that takes place during a certain time period that I don't want to get into, but like at the very end, those who've seen it might know what I'm talking about. But even so, for the most part, there was more of that setup to Episode 4, and maybe to Rogue One as well. I would think. But yeah, but for what they're doing here with the Resistance, I went off on a big tangent. I don't really care. But what they're doing for Resistance is like they were like, season 1 was basically almost setting up the Force Awakens, but then what was so cool about it is that it was like happening, the events in Resistance was happening simultaneously with the Force Awakens, and I like that it was kind of set up that way. It wasn't like, oh, wait until we see where Poe Dameron goes next. It was just kind of more of like, okay, Poe has to go off on this mission, and that was a mission where he goes to see Lor San Tekka on Jakku. Yeah, so I really like what they're doing with Resistance, and I like that it's gonna happen simultaneously with this sequel trilogy. And yeah, it's cool to see it, and it's cool to see that in this day and age, and the Star Wars show, mind you. And yeah, I'll definitely be coming back and watching more. I really like all the characters. I really dig the character arc they got going on for Kaz. Niku is freaking hilarious. Like, hello, Kaz. That was a horrible impression. Actually, that wasn't so bad. But yeah. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, but season 2 Resistance, very, very exciting stuff. And that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff coming out. And I won't be attending the convention itself. Part of it's the expense and the travel. But that's fine. I'll be able to get all these updates online, and in regards to like sharing my reactions with you guys, I'll definitely try to film some stuff. I'll try to tweet some stuff out. If you haven't followed me already, I'm at Alex J. Corey. That's AlexJCorey on Twitter and Instagram. I'll probably be tweeting out and maybe posting reactions there. And I definitely want to get hopefully some reactions out, because I assume they're going to do live streams for all these panels. It'd be great to see all the fun there. And if not, I'm sure if they'll have the panel, maybe they'll do a Comic-Con deal where they'll have the panel in person, and you won't be able to watch the panel itself. Maybe you'll see like tweets about it, and then they'll actually post the actual footage online. So maybe they'll do that, maybe they won't, but I hope I get to actually see some of these panels. I'm sure they're going to live stream. The good people at the Star Wars show will be able to do that. Anthony Carboni and Andy Gutierrez, who do a fantastic job, by the way. If you haven't seen the Star Wars show on the Star Wars YouTube channel, it's a lot of fun. But yes, that's my alarm. So yes, guys, this looks like to be an incredibly fun month. There's a lot of great releases coming out, but the idea that we're also getting updates on Star Wars stuff is like crazy. But yeah, this is the year for Star Wars, the year for comic book movies, the year for fantasy. How can you not this is the year of the fanboy. I'm just gonna go out and say it. This is the year of the fanboy. And if you aren't excited, go find something to be excited about. I'll be here geeking out. You'll be there geeking out. Hopefully, you listening who like all this stuff. Hopefully you do. If not, whatever. But I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But thank you guys so much for listening. Tune into Star Wars Celebration weekend. I'll try to tweet out my reactions. That's at Alex J. Corey on Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow my Facebook page. I'll have links in the description below if you're listening on YouTube. And thank you so much for listening. If you're listening on iTunes, be sure to rate and review. If you feel it's a 5-star podcast, give me 5 stars, give me 4 stars, give me 1 star. If you hate me, I don't care. And yes, if you're listening on YouTube, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment below what panel you're excited for the most. Let me know. And as always, thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.